What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with some Warframe and another episode of Warframe 101, where I try to help out some of you newer players get through the star chart and Warframe in general. And today we're going to be talking about Hijack Missions. Now, Hijack Missions are a special mission type that exists on certain planets. You're going to run into them, I believe, as early as Ceres in your playthrough, so you're going to want to know what to do when you get there. Basically, their special little thing is that you have to use your Warframe's shield power to actually move a payload through the map while you're getting attacked by different mobs. The first one you're going to come across is going to be a Grenier Mission. These also exist for the Corpus, which are a little bit different. We'll talk about that later in the video. But mainly what's going to happen, you're going to fight through a little bit of the stage. You're going to reach a payload that you need to hack, and then you're going to have to move it along a pathway to get to the end of the mission and extract. Now, the payload used to be a little different. It used to just kind of follow along with you, and you had to defend it from enemies. But now they have changed the way this works, and you actually have to use your Warframe's shields in order to power the payload as it moves. So if you go into this mission with a low-level Warframe with a very low shield value, or a Warframe in general that's a little squishy when it comes to shields, it's going to be a little difficult to complete this mission because you are going to have a ton of enemies coming after you while you're going through it, and your shields are going to be constantly drained by the payload. The payload is also going to take damage as you're moving it towards the end. It just has an automatic minus 10 damage every second or so, and it's going to be shot at by the enemies as well, so it can be destroyed before you reach the end. You don't want to let that happen, so you have to keep it moving along at a pretty solid pace. So this can be a little daunting for new players. They'll get into this and they'll see their shields are dropping and they're taking a ton of damage, and they just can't get the payload to the very end. And again, this is going to boil down, like everything else in Warframe, to the mods you have equipped on your Warframe, the type of weapons you're using, the type of Warframe you're using for the mission, and so on and so forth. And that's what I'm going to cover here in this video. So what we're going to be doing for this is we're actually going to use a Warframe that we got very early on in our free-to-play playthrough, and a Warframe you definitely should have and one you should have built already, and that is Rhino. Rhino's going to have a pretty strong base shield value, which we'll talk about a little more in detail when I get into the build later in the video. And he's going to be a little bit more durable with his iron skin and also his Rhino Stomp, which can take out a lot of the enemies around you to prevent them from damaging the payload. So he's just a very well-rounded Warframe for this mission type, and one you definitely should have at this point. You could also use Frost here if you have him to level 30 and you've already got him built. He has the same base shield value as Rhino, which is 150, so he's going to get a nice little boost from that when you have your shield redirection mod on. But like I said, pretty easy mission here once you get down to it and once you get your proper mods. Use your Rhino, get your shields and your iron skin going, and you're going to be able to take this payload all the way to the end fairly easily. Now, you also want to have a good mid-range to longer-range weapon equipped for this. I'm using the Heck in this video because it's pretty much the best thing I have at this point, and my rifles are still pretty weak, so I'm using the Heck, which, while it does have a lot of damage drop-off at range, it still packs a big enough punch that it can take out most of these guys pretty easily. Obviously, when you get later in the game, the Hijack missions are going to get a little bit tougher and have a little bit tougher level of enemies. But by that point, you should have plenty of powerful mods and weapons to use against them. So the same basic principle is going to apply. Just get in, try to keep your shield value high, and move the payload along. We're also using Taxxon as our Sentinel here. I'm going to talk about that more in depth later on in the video and explain exactly why we're doing that, but we are using him on purpose, mainly because of a special mod he has that helps our shield capacity. That's pretty much it for the action part, guys, so let's go ahead and get into the mods and everything else that we're using here. And once you have all this information, you shouldn't really have any problem at all getting through these Hijack missions. Alright guys, so we're going to take a look at the build that I was using on my Rhino to run through the Hijack mission. And again, our main purpose of this build is to get the maximum we can out of our shields at this early stage in the game, since we need those shields to run the mission and to actually get the payload to the very end. So first off, I am using Rhino for this mission because he has the strongest base shields of any of the Warframes I have in my roster right now. His shields base is 150, so you get all your bonuses on top of that. And we can take a look at that here. I can just show you what I'm talking about. When you look down at Rhino, it says 150 is his base shield value, so that's going to help contribute a little bit more. Now, we do also have Frost, too, at this point. He also has the same shield value as Rhino, but we do not have Frost maxed out at level 30 yet, so Rhino is just going to be a bit more effective for our purposes. And you should have Rhino by now in your playthrough. You should have got him very early on. He's a great Warframe. He's one of the sturdiest frames in the game, and he is, going to carry us through these missions pretty easily. So we're going to make sure he's equipped. And just looking at my general build right now, I don't really have anything fantastic yet, since, like I said, we are early on in the game. We did manage to pick up a prime continuity from Barrow-Katir. But the main things we want to be worrying about here are going to be redirection. For our shield capacity, we have ours up to 320% right now, and then we have fast deflection for 75% shield recharge rate, so when you're not taking damage, your shields will recharge a little bit faster. I'd like to have that maxed out right now, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. And I still have a couple slots available here. I haven't found a matching aura mod yet, which would help out a little bit, and I haven't formed Rhino yet, but I plan on doing both of those pretty soon. But you see here we get 200% shields for our rank bonus, and he's fully ranked up to level 30. So our shields are going to be about 930, and that's going to help out quite a bit. It's going to give us plenty of energy to help push that payload along. So that's pretty simple there. Weapons, you want to use something pretty powerful that's got pretty good range. The Heck obviously does pretty much everything well at this point. That's what I was using in the video. I was not using a rifle because I still have yet to get a serration drop yet on this playthrough, so we don't have really a powerful rifle to use, but any kind of long to mid-range weapon is going to help you out. It helps to keep the enemies away, though you do want to let some of them get close so you can boost your shields a little bit, and we're going to talk about that next. For this mission, I strongly suggest taking the Taxon Sentinel, and for a fairly obvious reason here. When you go into upgrade, he has the mod called Molecular Conversion. This is one of his special mods that comes with him, and if you notice in my videos, my shield value will turn purple once in a while. This essentially means that I have boosted shields on top of my normal shields, like an overshield similar to what you would get in the Halo games. So I have extra shielding there, and it basically blasts enemies within 10 meters. It converts 200 damage into shields for the Warframe. So this shield stacks, and it can get pretty high. I've seen my shield range on Rhino go all the way up over 2,000, so it's very good to have this mod equipped. You can just get into a fight with a couple enemies early on in the mission and get your shields boosted up quite a bit. And then you also have the Guardian mod, which is General Sentinel mod. What this does is it boosts your shields if they drop to 0. The Sentinel will give you a little boost of energy. We can have 4 out of 5 mod points on this, and you can see that it boosts the shields by 92% when our shields run out to 0. So both of those mods are going to come in handy when you are trying to run through these payload missions, or the hijack missions as they're called in the game. And you saw the one with the Grenier in the gameplay. There's also one with the Corpus where you have to ride on top of a little machine that's going to slowly move along as it's powered by your shields, and you're going to get chased down by Corpus in those, and you'll have to fight them, kind of how the Grenier mob showed up in the one that we just ran through. But really nothing too hard about these guys. I know they can seem a little daunting at first because you're trying to fight the enemies and your shields are getting drained by the payload, and it's kind of hard to determine how you want to take on that fight, and some of the Warframes you're using for that may not be very well equipped to do the job. But get your trusty Rhino, pull him out, make sure he's leveled up, get the mods that I showed you, and you should have no trouble whatsoever doing those hijack missions. Same thing can be applied throughout the star chart when you get to some of the later ones that might be a little bit more difficult. And eventually, if you can, try to get your hands on Rhino Prime, because he's got even better shield modifiers and things, so he's a little bit more powerful than the standard version. But that's pretty much it, guys. Just wanted to kind of point this out. Hopefully it'll help you. I know a lot of people have been getting stuck on these hijack missions, and especially since DE retooled them a little bit. They used to be a lot easier than they are now, obviously with the shield drain. But my whole goal here is to kind of help you guys get through those a little bit easier, help you progress through the star chart, because you're going to run into those hijack missions fairly early on, and they can prove to be a little bit of an issue if you're not ready for them. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this and found this helpful. As always, as usual, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them down below. I hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you again next time.